Welcome to the Workplace Minute, powered by H3HR Advisors and sponsored by WorkHuman. Thanks for joining me for a quick update on what's important in the world of work. My name is Steve Boese. Today in the Workplace Minute, we're picking up on a theme we introduced last week on the show, where we talked about the Model Context Protocol, or MCP, agentic AI, and the idea that enterprise software may be shifting from systems that help people do work to systems that actually execute the work. Now we've got another really tangible example of that shift in action. Square, through its parent company Block, has just introduced something called ManagerBot. And this is not just another AI assistant bolted onto an existing product. ManagerBot is designed to act more like a digital operator for small businesses. It can proactively manage things like inventory levels, forecast demand, automate ordering decisions, suggest and even execute marketing campaigns, and importantly for our audience, help manage employee shift scheduling based on a wide range of inputs. So think about that for a second. Shift scheduling is one of the most persistent operational headaches in many hourly and frontline heavy businesses. And that becomes no longer just a workflow inside an HR system or a workforce management system. It becomes a task that an AI agent can continuously monitor, adjust, and optimize in real time. And it's not by a tool provided by a traditional HR or time management system. And Square is being very explicit about where this is going. They've said that once customers start interacting with ManagerBot and see what it can do, they'll naturally want to consolidate more of their operations onto the Square platform. So it could be payroll, time tracking, scheduling, all of it. Because when all that data is unified, the agent becomes more powerful, more accurate, and more valuable. Now, if you listen to the episode we did last week on MCP and agentic AI, this should begin to start sounding familiar. What we talked about then was the idea that the center of gravity in enterprise tech could shift away from individual applications and more towards orchestration layers. These are the systems that sit across data and processes and policies and actually execute work. ManagerBot is an early, very clear example of that model, especially for the small and mid-sized business market. So instead of logging into separate systems to run payroll, manage schedules, review time cards, analyze staffing needs, the business owner or the manager simply interacts with the agent, and that agent is operating across all of those domains simultaneously. This is a fundamentally different user experience, but more importantly, it's a fundamentally different value proposition. And this is where it gets really interesting for HR leaders and HR technology providers. Because if the work of scheduling, time tracking, even parts of payroll administration starts to be handled by agents, then the value of traditional systems of record, systems of engagement, that starts to shift. It doesn't disappear, but it changes. And this is coming up a lot lately in enterprise tech, in the whole tech stack, up and down, and no matter the size of the customer. The system of record remains the data foundation, but the interface, the experience, and increasingly the execution of work moves up a layer to the AI agent. And Square has an advantage here that mirrors the one that we've talked about with companies like Oracle and Paycom. They already control a meaningful portion of the operational data for their customers. So things like payments, transactions, staffing, time tracking. That unified data layer is exactly what makes an agent like ManagerBot very valuable. And now for small and mid-sized businesses, and especially for HR leaders operating in those environments, this creates both an opportunity and a challenge. The opportunity is obvious. If these agents can work as advertised, they can dramatically reduce administrative burden. Scheduling becomes easier. Forecasting becomes more accurate. Decisions get faster, become more data-driven. And for small teams, that's a really big deal. But there's a challenge, of course, as well, because adopting something like ManagerBot likely means consolidating more of your tech stack into a single platform. And that's a strategic decision. It might touch payroll, HR, workforce management, and potentially even broader business operations. So the question for HR and business leaders becomes, where do you want that orchestration layer to live? Who do you trust to manage not just your data, but also your processes, maybe your policies, and increasingly your actual decisions? And this is exactly the disruption we started talking about last week. It's no longer about just which system has the best features. It's about which platform can support intelligent agents that actually run parts of your business. For HR leaders, this could mean a few things. First, you need to start evaluating your current tech stack through this lens, not just what the systems do, but how well do they integrate with these new tools and protocols? How unified is your data? And how ready are you and your systems for this next layer of AI-driven orchestration? Second, this is the time to get much more involved in conversations about AI governance, data quality, and decision-making frameworks. Because if agents are going to start making or recommending decisions about schedules, about staffing, maybe even payroll-related decisions, those decisions need to be transparent, fair, and in line with your policies. And third, especially for SMBs, there's a real need to balance simplicity with flexibility. Platforms like Square are going to offer you incredibly compelling all-in-one solutions powered by these new AI agents. But leaders need to be really clear-eyed about what they're gaining and what they might be giving up in terms of customization or controls. The bottom line is this. What we're seeing with Square's ManagerBot is more than a cool new feature. It's another signal. A signal that the shift from apps to AI agents is underway. And in some ways, it may move faster in the small and mid-sized market than in the enterprise space. And for HR leaders, the time to start preparing for that shift is now. Thanks for listening to the Workplace Minute. And a big thank you to WorkHuman for supporting the show. If you're interested in how agentic AI is reshaping HR, workforce management, and the broader world of work, be sure to check out some of our recent episodes and our full 2026 Workplace Trends Report. I'm Steve Boese, and this has been the Workplace Minute from H3 HR Advisors.